So if we take a look at this table, we will actually quite easily see what the advantage of the UV unwrapping will be, because the top surface I would like to be nicely wrapped from one side up over the tabletop and down the legs. So let's go to Blender. I'm going to import my object. There's my bent table there. I have to scale this one and do some touch-ups. So shade smooth and give me an edge split modifier. Then I go into edit mode, go to faces, and what I'm going to do is actually I try to select only the faces on the bottom. Also there, everything looks good. What about there? Good. Oh, there are some missing. So with B or C. Oh, there are some missing as well. So C and C. Let's make the check here. Yep. Okay. So the main reason is that area we don't really see, so we can delete the faces, cleans everything up a little bit. A, select everything, mesh, faces, and trees to quads to simply clean up the mesh a little bit. Perfect. So I would like my veneer to roll over kind of like this mesh. So I'm selecting just those faces, as you can see in edit mode. Okay, perfect. And then let's maybe take a look at another nice wood veneer. Let's see, maybe something like this. File size, it's not really ideal, it's kind of small. This is actually a good example to show you what's going wrong when you have too bad highlight effects. But maybe this one, and this one. So I'm going to save those images. This I might use actually for some sites. View and save. Okay, desktop. And there. Maybe this one we use for the tabletop. Again, the image is pretty small. You would want to find something that's decently large. Just otherwise, kind of like the image rendering will show that the texture first is too big and maybe it's kind of blurry because it's lacking details. And then we create a new material. And let's do this one again. We make a, I think texture input we don't even need at this point. Just image texture, plug this one in. And first I would like to unwrap this one across maybe this part. Okay, perfect. Now I would like to do one quick test. So you unwrap or T, go to UVs and then unwrap. And there you see actually my parts being unwrapped. So I can press L and rotate 90 degrees. Maybe try to correct this a little bit. Press L to select linked there, rotate, move this one up. Select all this, G and Y, move this up. And for example, let's scale this one a little bit and see what we can do. So this is veneer 5.4, so we use the same here, wood veneer. Let's take a look. Yeah, Okay, there, for example, you can clearly see, well, doesn't really work good. So in here, we can actually now maybe scale this one, and you see now there are some seams. Not good. So instead of scaling it this way, what happens if maybe just this way I scale it? So I'm stretching it. Because all these lines are vertical, somewhere it's tiling, but it's not really as noticeable. And that was actually a pretty nice and easy hack. Pretty good. You also notice I don't need, in this case, when I use the UV unwrapping, the texture coordinates and the mapping, because in terms of tiling or rotation, I can do everything via my UV editor. So when the geometry sticks over an image, you tile already. So there's an image, there's an image. Okay, so that worked actually pretty fantastic. Let's make another material, because the other stuff I would like to texture as well. So I can go to select and inverse, make a new material, assign maybe this color. Okay, let's go back to here and let's see what type of material we are going to use in this case. And open. Let's maybe take this one so you will see the details easier. So press U, unwrap, and you might get some unpleasant surprises. And that is Zebrano there. Okay, so what are the surprises? Those, in my case, whatever it's happening here, you see those kind of like bubble out. Now the nice thing actually you see with the unwrapping, the mesh here is bent, but it unwraps it kind of like a nice straight line. So I could maybe go ahead if I want to select those parts and then scale everything together. But it seems to be a lot of work. I'm not sure if I'm really willing to do this. And I'm just curious, well, what happens if maybe I do everything a little bit like this? Can this maybe fix it? So you see that the mesh and the texture actually kind of like follow how a bent plywood would be folded, but at this point not really perfectly. So let's see, what phase is that one? This part here. Okay, so let's then actually give this a try to see how much work this might be when we scale all this together. So here S and X, G and X, and I move it back, S and X, and I try to de-stress this a little bit here as well. Whoops. S and X. Oh, see, it actually wasn't too bad. So because I'm working here with patterns, which are very difficult to recognize, kind of like the bad mesh here does not necessarily stand out as easily. Of course, if you really pay attention to, you can see that there is something majorly wrong happening. Those layers aren't really nicely folding, but if you render something from this distance, you might not really see it anyway. So this could actually be a possible workaround. Okay. Let's actually do something different. I'm going to quickly undo all these steps because, oh, I can easily do it this way. So select A or select the material, select, you see this way I'm selecting all these different meshes. So we make this material side. Let's take a look at different unwrapping methods. We have, for example, cube projection, and ooh, let's see. No, not really useful. Okay, what about cylindrical? Looks interesting, but it looks like we have to be in an orthographic view for this one to work. Yes, we do. Okay, you again. Yeah. Let's take a look. So, okay, maybe rotate this a little bit and then see what we can maybe force in. So it looks nice and clean. Of course, that works. The problem, however, as you can see, is it doesn't really look like the internal material. It looks more like veneer we glued over it. And let me for a moment explain the cylindrical. Think about this object and we make a huge cylinder, and then this way you kind of like unwrap everything. That's, for example, what the cylindrical actually means, or what spherical. Oh, spherical has a very interesting result. But unfortunately, also here, this is not really resulting into something that is remotely useful. What about this one? No. Smart pack. Let's take a look at that one. It's probably not going to work as well, because it just unwraps it in a way that maybe the way how the mesh is built. So I guess what we're up to in this case is we can simply do a normal UV unwrap and then rotate it, and in case you have artifacts like this, you can move your mesh around, scale those parts, and try to fix it by hand. I personally, in my work, if I can and I have the time, this is, for example, a very simple model, then I would quickly rebuild this one in Blender. The time it takes me to fix the mesh and to prepare really perfect material representations is pretty much the same as rebuilding this one quickly. And inside the rendering, then you won't even really see that maybe the model is slightly not 100% the same. It's not that the piece will look different. The differences are so minor you won't really even notice it. Of course, it's not being used for manufacturing, so I have a render model and I have a manufacturing model if it's possible. Okay, so that, for example, was a very easy way how to unwrap, for example, this tabletop.